alcohol,
sex,
food,
gambling,
drugs,
internet,
love.
spending.
There are a million addictions, and everybody is recovering from something. Here to help, it's Recovery Wednesday with America's original radio psychic, Dr. Linda Salvin, along with addiction specialist Candy Finnegan from the Emmy Award-winning television show Intervention. Candy and Dr. Linda are two gals who know recovery because they are in recovery. Listen as they help you bring your recovery to the next level, help you solve your thorniest issues in ways you may have never imagined. Together, they bring you the tools and techniques that bring balance, serenity, and recovery to your life, and the tools you need to find solutions for healing from the disease of addiction. Candy teams up with Dr. Linda to share their over 60 years of combined experience dealing with all areas of recovery. In her decades as a metaphysical clinician, Dr. Linda has helped thousands of people worldwide solve problems on the air and in person with her insights and solutions. So pull up a chair, turn it up, and get ready for a visit on the path to recovery with the one and only Dr. Linda. And now, live from Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Linda Salvin and Candy Finnegan.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, good, because my headset, it's something with the StreamYard. I had to unplug the headset. It was fine talking to Rebel, but once the intro started, all the static started. So, I don't know what's going on. It's just...
we didn't float away.
No, we're here. There's so much mud. For the people that don't know that LA's been under torrential rains for a few days, there's a boulevard intersection not far from me, like I could walk to it. And there was a man swimming in the water that filled up the street. That's how deep the floods have been. And when I went out yesterday, it was all mud. How's it over in your neighborhood? Muddy?
Well, Balboa was from Ventura to Burbank was like this much. And Burbank was closed, and it was like complete mud. And Woodley was closed by the park. So
and it's supposed to have more rain tonight.
Oh yeah, but last night when I was doing my support group, it was raining so hard that I almost got off I thought my pool was gone. I thought, here we go, or it's gonna come in the house, but it didn't.
You're okay.
Yeah.
And I was over at Candy's for the Grammys the other night, because Candy knows what a Joni Mitchell fan I've been all my life. And I saw her cat. I haven't seen her in a while. And when Candy says this cat strikes and bats her, she's not kidding. I'm good, Papa. Why don't you call in just a moment? We get going here and you can talk to Candy and me. This cat, if he doesn't get his food or what he wants,
if he doesn't get attention, if you don't have eye contact with him.
And he is constantly going like this to Candy, batting Candy. It was so funny. It's actually cute, but it's sad because Candy gets scratched with those claws. But you don't give him what he wants. He's like, oh, there he is in the corner by the door.
It's that thing where he's right here. Yeah. Where you scratch him, on his head, and then you stop.
Oh, he doesn't like that. Hi, Bethel. Glad to meet you. Call in to the show. Rebel.
Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Call in 561-623-9421 is the number, and ask a question. This is a show about recovery from...
Just tell us who you are.
Yeah. Internet addiction, love addiction, crack, alcohol, pot, cigarettes, sugar, gambling. Everybody's got something going on.
Yeah, we're all recovering from something or not happy.
Well, I just got off the phone with somebody I went to high school with that's starting to open up spiritually, and gave him some ideas as what to do. And this, of course, this weekend is the Conscious Life Expo for people that are here in LA that want to experience the woo-woo end of life. And
I went with it that one time. I thought there were some...
Oh, there's fascinating scientists and real professional people, but then there's some of the odd, there's some weird stuff. It's all inclusive. It's the whole metaphysical new age world. Yeah. But you got to pick and choose what feels right for you. There's some weird ones that I found and some fascinating ones I found. Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
fascinating.
it was fascinating to me. It was kind of a zoo, but
Oh, it's a
I thought
zoo.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, we get thousands of people there every year. I'm not speaking this year. I did a few years ago. I'll be at a table though
Well, they
talking
should have
about.
never had it on Super Bowl weekend. That was silly.
Well, that was wrong because I'm not going to miss the Super Bowl to hang out at a table. Sorry, I'm coming home or I'm coming over to your house or something. Anyway, we have a topic today about what is a higher power. Not everybody has a higher power that they're consciously aware of, but you can find it very easily. And if you want to find out
Yeah, I don't say that.
if they
I
are,
don't think you can find it very easily.
if you learn how to do it, of course you can.
Oh, well, if you want it, I'd say.
Yeah, you have to want it. It's not like it just comes out of the chimney and says, okay, I'm your higher power. If you go seeking,
kind of like Santa.
yeah, but once you ask, you shall receive. It's like if you get out of the way, you'll start to see things. Like I was just explaining to my friend, client, whatever you want to call them. Like, be still, for I am God. What is a higher power? It's like if I'm not God and you're not God, what's God? But it's not about religion, people. This is about something out there spiritually that will get you into more of the more. I can't come to the door. I'm on the air. I've got the heating people here, so it's going to be very noisy. Okay. It wasn't my idea. The landlord has.
Of course not.
No, he just decided to dump them on me this time. But anyway, we'll get fixed finally. So if you're looking for a God or a spiritual understanding, all you have to do is get out of the way and watch how the universe speaks back. It's like somebody once told me years and years ago, I had a problem and I called this girl who was my sponsor and she wasn't available. And I remember she always said, if you can't trust me, trust God. If you can't trust God, trust me. I thought, well, what does that mean? And I called her because I was in a situation I needed help with and she didn't answer. So I just sat back and got quiet and I got the answer and I followed through and it worked. That to me became a higher power. It's when you let go or you can't see or you need some help. There's something out there that will guide you. It always has. You just don't know what to define it. But
the Pretona dictionary says a spirit or being that has great power, strength, and knowledge, and that can affect nature and the lives of people. But I don't. A spirit is fine, but what is a being? It's like.
Well, some people think spirits are beings; they're entities.
Well, they're entities, right? But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't think it could be being. Those are the questions you analyze and philosophize about, and there's controversy or there's conspiracy. What is it? It doesn't matter as long as you find it for yourself. I happen to tune into butterflies and the movement of the universe with butterflies, but I also know I have a higher power that I choose to call God, because when I'm in a mess or I need some peace or I need some answers or I need to detach from some people in the family or whatever's going on, I ask for direction. May not be what I want to hear, but it may be what I need. And if I can't get it through myself, I'll talk to somebody like Candy or any of my friends, and somebody may have an opinion or a suggestion. And that's my answer that I personally couldn't discover. But what is a higher power? It's something outside yourself. It's all part of the universal messages. But in the 12-step recovery program, when we refer to it, it's that which you learn to depend on, to become more dependent on yourself. They once taught me, the more you depend on God, the more independent you become, Linda. I didn't understand that. And at the beginning, I think where the confusion is we're looking for this thing out there, that being, that sensation, and chase it. Okay, going after, that's how I was separate from the God till one day I became all one with my energy. And I think it's the integration of the fragments we come here with, because we're all fragments.
Well, it's like there's so many people. I was talking about this last night. There's so many people that misunderstand a 12-step program, that it's, well, some people, of course, say it's a cult, which it certainly is. Come on. And, or that it's a religion. And I think that it isn't a religion. It's a spiritual program. I personally do not believe you can get sober and stay sober. Maybe you can get sober, but I don't think you can stay sober without a higher power. And so many of us in 12-step programs, had kind of a twisted relationship, I guess, with the God of their understanding. I mean, I don't think there's a person alive that's an alcoholic or an addict that hasn't prayed to God when they get into a horrible situation and promise they'll never do it again. And whoops. And so
Yeah, Monday morning, I'll never do that again.
I was greatly relieved when I got sober that it wasn't so ritualistic and it wasn't so strict. And because how I'd grown up was it was, kind of scary, as a matter of fact, when I look back on it. If you don't do this, you're going to hell. If you don't do this, what are you going to do? It was like, trying to figure out how to get where I wanted to go. And it just seemed like I couldn't keep the rules and regulations straight. But, I believe that they call it a higher power because when you get sober, you have to do the work, but you have to depend on something greater than yourself. And although a sponsor is really important in the community, we have a saying called let go and let God. Now, we had a friend, Linda and I did, and she got sober about 2 years or 3 years after Linda and I. And her higher power was Stevie Winwood because he had the song Higher Love. And her whole thing was, I don't think it's very advisable to make a person your higher power, but and a lot of people make the group their higher power. A lot of people make the ocean, but she was bound and determined on her first anniversary of her sobriety that he was going to give her a cake. And she flew, I think, to Chicago. He was playing somewhere, and she went there. And by God, she got in and explained it to him. And I don't know if he gave her a cake, actually, but, it's like, don't set yourself up for disappointment, of course. But, it's like it worked for her. I don't know whatever happened to her. But, I just used to tickle me. Because, and then she, at the beginning of every meeting, she'd go, bring me a high, and I go, all right, all right, accept this.
For those that are new, and there's a couple people that popped up saying they're new to the channel, this is one of 3, okay, Amber, just a moment, one of 3 shows I do a week on this channel. This is about recovery from addiction. This is recovery.
Oh, it's recovery from anything.
Of course, but we are addicted to different things, and there's books that we use in the 12-step program. And one of the steps says, came to believe in a power greater than ourselves. It's going through a process of admitting that we might be unable to control or we're powerless over whatever's going on. And then it talks about come to believe in something. And when I first read that, it was like, what does that mean? And I had to see outside me as to what that might mean. Came to believe. And it's a process, people. It didn't just happen.
Yeah, it doesn't say have to. It doesn't say right now. It says came.
Came to believe.
It doesn't say come. It says came. Which for me was very comforting because I had to go in search of.
And a lot of us do search. How can I recover my love life? Well, that's the psychic stuff as opposed to a spiritual thing. To recover the love life is a psychic question. This isn't the psychic show. So if you're interested, Amber, go to my website, lindasalvin.com, and schedule an appointment, and I can help you with that. But that's not for this show. If you're addicted to love or you have too many fantasies without reality, relationships, or you have a love addiction, that's different for this particular broadcast. But that's more of a personal thing off the air. So Candy's coming up on 38 years of sobriety. What is sobriety? Well, if you've been doing drugs, alcohol, coke, cigarettes, whatever your thing might have been, and you decide it doesn't work for you anymore, or you might get a nudge from the judges, they say, if you get sent to a program meeting by the court, you may be tired of hurting yourself or drinking yourself to death or being so smoked out that you're so
We always say sick and tired of being tired and sick.
And it doesn't work anymore. Or you realize your people around you aren't the most dependable or honest or giving, or it doesn't work. It just stops working. It's up to you. Nobody demands it. I chose it. Somebody has what they say, you hit bottom and they surrender to it. There's different ways of understanding what recovery is. But there's more and more information online now about even these kids in grammar school admitting they're addicted to the internet. And it's become a big problem. There's a whole article just in the addiction news.
And truly addicted to any type of technology, texting, Instagram, Snap, whatever it is.
Snapchat.
Yeah, I have a very, very dear friend. His name is Dr. Don Grant, and he is president of the psychological technology. And he's busy 24/7 trying to help families have their kids get back into the realm of life,
Well, when you and I were growing up about this, we used to talk and communicate, and we don't do that as much anymore. It's a text. It's not so much on the phone with the voice. It's a different.
Well, and when the epidemic happened, everybody turned to technology, Zoom, and all of that. So I think that didn't help, for sure.
I agree. Or it was part of the shift in how society was going to change because of the pandemic. The ways of the world changed. What came first, the pandemic or the rules? Who knows? Because Zoom was here first. I always wondered, once we got the pandemic and we were in lockdown, how the restaurants got the bamboo utensils. They got all the tents right away. Everything just transformed like within a week. It's like they must have planned something. How else do you get those tents to be in the parking lot so fast? I don't understand all of it, but life changed. We're back in order now. There's still some anxiety with people getting out in big crowds, and a lot of people prefer to stay home and cozy now. So there's been a shift in societal means, but
nobody wants to work in an office. They want to sit at home in their jammy bottoms.
Yeah, you're right. Or not drive through the floods like we have here.
I also think the sad part for me, and it has to do with 12-step, and it has to do, with society in general. So many young people, kind of beginning of teenageship, beginning of, puberty and all that, they have no social skills.
No.
I do a program called One on Campus, and it's a community. It's also a substitute for being suspended. And I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I go to Malibu High and Santa Monica High, but I go to an elementary school, Lincoln in Santa Monica, and it's like they're still smarter than a whip. I have some 7th graders, and they're so earnestly wanting to get on with their life, but they kind of don't know how. They were homeschooled for 2 years. And, one of them is much, much more socially acceptable, and the other one is like really quite timid, and she's been homeschooled. This is her first year in school. So
the whole adaptation thing for her to learn to be with people.
Well, learning, it isn't with people. It's what the right response is, and how you don't get bullied, and because kids can spot a target on who to not be nice to, and most of these kids have been going to school with each other since kindergarten, and now all of a sudden, how do you get in that mix? Really difficult, and I feel very badly for her, but it's like everything else; she has to have her own journey. But I just think these kids are really immature. Socially, not educationally. Although not going to school in person would have been really difficult for me.
Do you think they're going to catch up and evolve into the maturity that they need in this social economic era of how things have changed? Do you think they'll?
Well, both of these kids, oddly enough, at 7th grade, didn't have phones, and one of the little girls got a phone for Christmas. But I don't know.
Well, it would be an interesting study to see where they are in 5-10 years as to how they evolve as a result of their younger years being hindered.
Maybe the younger kids, but she was in 4th grade. They were both in 4th grade when the pandemic, and now they're in 7th, and that's a big, when you're in 4th grade, you're in one classroom, and when you're in 7th, you kind of hop around to different classes.
Yeah. And your body's changing and hormones are changing and everything's hitting at once as you grow.
Yeah, well, Lynn Peterson, who is the founder of One and Alter the Course Retreats for Adolescents, I must tell you, we've done several workshops for the kids in different schools on bullying, and cyberbullying started during because they couldn't get in trouble and they couldn't get caught. And it is a massive problem in elementary schools, in middle school.
Cyberbullying, as you know, even on Instagram and TikTok, have caused some kids to take their own lives. It gets really nasty and frightening and scary, and the parents don't always know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, boom, hey, hi, well, if you want to call in, the number is available for anybody to call in and speak to us instead of just a chat. Hi, 561-623-9421. There's the number right on your screen. Give a call and say hi to Candy and me and contribute. Let us know what's going on with you. Again, this is not the psychic show. This is a recovery show. This deals more with addictions or family issues or relationships, more with the sometimes a problem person in the family or a parent, or if you yourself have a problem with some type of substance, this is the show to call into and we can give you some guidance.
Or if you're chronically depressed.
That too.
You have other, mental maladies. We certainly not therapists, but we can certainly guide you in the right direction.
Exactly. Candy, as you probably know from TV, on the TV show Intervention, she spent 10 years on that show. She's one of the primary interventionists in the country. People come to her from all walks of life, from all the celebrities down to the homeless and everything in between, and they're there for Candy's help. And with me, I've got over 30 years on radio as a psychic and a healer, and I've been doing this show and just keep expanding, but we're always here for you. Every Wednesday, Candy and I are here for you. So call in. Don't be shy. There's nothing to be shy. You'll just get on the phone at 561-623-9421 and ask a question. Otherwise, we'll just keep talking about what is a higher power. To me, it's that magic in the sky, or sometimes it's just like I could see out a window in my living room in the front door. There's a window and I can see the trees. So like I can momentarily connect with the universe just looking through the window. I can hear the heating and air conditioning guys up in the attic that are fixing this horrible problem that's been going on for months. It's so loud that my neighbor is kept awake because of this rumbling. So the landlord finally conceded and got some help here, and they're doing it right now. So this, I got to be grateful for the noises, but I got to be grateful for the beauty of the green tree across the street, and everything else falls into place. Is my life perfect? Absolutely not. Am I where I want to be? Most of the time, yes. Although I had some emotional upheaval in my body after watching Joni Mitchell and all the musicians, Tracy Chapman, the other night, because I really thought that's where I was headed, and I still may. But it hits home on the soul level. We all have this other life that goes on inside us versus the one we're living, and the key is just to find, like, with this higher power. When I got to these rooms 38 and a half years ago, you couldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole. I was angry. I was hurt. I was beat up. I'd had enough. And then because I found a higher power through the rooms and learning to listen to other people share their experience, it gave me the strength and hope, as they promised, that once I started hearing someone else's story, even though I thought they were complaining or whatever, when you listen between the lines, you read between the lines, you find the similarities. And then the healing takes place, or you think, oh, I did that, or I felt that, and you don't feel alone anymore. And that's how all this works. It's not about a cult and someone telling you how to be or what to eat and what to dress and who to sleep
Well,
with.
we do suggest a lot of things.
Well, yeah, there's suggestions only. But if you follow and take direction, it works. It works. It can really change your perspective. But again, it still has the beauty of a God, a higher power, something you can feel the presence sometimes. And it doesn't always work out the way I want it. Hey, I asked for this. I thought you'd give me that. No, don't always get. That's the difference between my will and God's will. But when I start following God's will, I have fewer problems because I'm not in the way. And I've noticed if I
By
really
the way, one of the interesting things, I'm going to look at this. One of the interesting things is if you don't believe in a higher power, it doesn't have to be the name God. That's for certain. But there's a part in the big book of AA which looks like this. I've got the big book.
Yeah, you do.
I'm blind. And so there's a whole chapter that and it's actually chapter 4. It's We Agnostics, and it explains how you can get sober and stay sober without having to have this deep belief like a lot of people do. It's, I guess that the best way it's a lack of power that is our dilemma. We had to find a power which we could live, and it had to be a power greater than ourselves, obviously. But where and how were we to find this power? And that's what this book is about. But it's a gradual process. It isn't right now, because if it was right now, I wouldn't be sober. It took me a while to grasp onto this. But
if you're new to the show and you don't know what we talk about by being sober, we don't do drugs, we don't drink, we don't smoke. Whatever the vice was, it's no longer a part of our daily routine. And if you're
we're actually in recovery.
We're in recovery, but a lot of people don't quite know what that is. I'm just defining it for those that really don't know. There's new people here.
Sober without, it could be 4 days, it could be a month, it could be.
It doesn't last. It doesn't always last.
The recovery process takes a long time and a lot of dedication.
Yeah, and it's work. You got to work on yourself. And that's where if you don't have the power within yourself, a lot of times you just give up. Okay, God, what am I supposed to do? And all of a sudden things happen and you surrender. There are people with 30, 40, 50, 60 years of sobriety. There's people that have one day, they can't stay sober. They have a month, they go back out. They think they got it. They don't. They get 20 years. People slip, go back out. Then they come back and they say it was even worse the second time around, because the longer you stay away from
it does not go away.
Happens faster, right, Candy?
Oh yeah. It's always, it's if you'll never get over it. You can get through it and stay sober and clean, but it's not going to go away. I mean,
no, it's a disease. We have a disease.
You're never going to drink like a gentleman. You're not going to be able, if you're a true alcoholic. It's kind of, they say the beast is, building muscles and waiting for you to relapse is not a part of recovery. Relapse is part of the disease of addiction and alcoholism. So, but it depends on if you stay there, if you give up. So it's not going away. It's not going anywhere. It's just hanging out. And so, it's everything that when you go to 12-step, you are taught. You have to be teachable or you're leaving. Because we don't know what is best for us when we walk in the door. We know that we need help and there's help there, and then we get to help somebody else.
Well, it's because our best thinking got us here.
Yeah. And we get to give away so freely what was given to us. And they used to say it's for fun and for free. I'm not sure about that.
Is it fun?
It ended up being fun.
Well, you made a career out of it.
Well, yes, I did. That's how I stayed
You
sober.
and Lori became career.
Not Lori. Lori was.
Oh, she became a PhD in psych, right? She
hasn't. She's never practiced it except for to get her hours in her thesis because she had much younger kids than I did, and her mother was sick, and she got detained. She might now, but she's still taking care of her 90-year-old mother. So, but she didn't. I needed to do this to stay sober. My kids were in school, then they went away to boarding school and college, and I couldn't sit in my house. And if I was helping somebody, then I was helping me. So I'm very grateful that she dragged me to UCLA.
Well, look at all the awards you've won and how famous you became and all the people that contact you. Hi, Victor. I understand you stopped taking the nutrition, but we can talk about that later. The doors that
I just, it's a thing where
Candy, you became huge in the industry.
Well, but I always said, "Thy will be done, not mine."
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You let go, let God. What happened? You got tons of accolades. You've met tons of celebrities. You've helped a lot of people. She's so humble. She's very shy. She doesn't want to accept that.
No, it's why I did it was to help people that had the same disease that I did, that couldn't get out of their own way. And this is a family disease, so of course, the only thing I could do was help the family. So, it's like I'm just very lucky that of all the opportunities I've had, but the primary thing is I've stayed sober. Because I would never, can't have a drunk interventionist. Well, I wouldn't advise it.
No, I don't think so. If you're really loaded or a little on the tipsy side, you're like the blind leading the blind. That would be kind of funny.
Oh, well.
That's when
not a very good example.
No, but it is. They did have a joke in the making of "We Are the World" where Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder had to go to the bathroom, and Stevie said, "Come on, I'll show you where it is." And then they made a comment about the blind really leading the blind. It was really quite funny in the way that little segment. Yeah. So, Victor, why don't you call in and say hi to Candy and me? Let us know how your mom's doing and what's new with you. The phone number is 561. Where is that number? 623-9421. We're here. There. You go to Rebel, she'll bring it onto the show. Call in, Victor. Say hello. Give a little testimony. Talk to Candy. Victor's a Vietnam vet. And he's been listening to me for, 15, 20 years maybe. I've helped with him. And there was a time he was wondering if he was going to get his VA. Sorry about the noise. If he was going to get his money, and he finally did, got his reports. Why don't you start talking? Because it's going to be quite noisy up here with whatever they're doing.
Well, thank you for your service, Victor. I have my husband and I had a lot of friends that were in Vietnam, and I'm grateful for your service. So that's a long
road. Call in 561-623-9421. And he's had his struggles, and he's come a long way. And he takes care of his mother. He helps his mom.
There you go. I'm grateful that my kids love me, but don't take care of me.
I'm going to go talk to the technicians. Okay, the number again is 561-623-9421. Why don't you come on the show, Victor? Give a little spiel. I don't know how many years I've known you, but it'd be nice to have you on the show with Candy and me. That'd be great. So it looks like the heater's fixed, and this noise that you're
not going to know how to live
without all this noise. It's like a train rumbling. I rent a house, and the landlord's a little slow at getting things fixed, to say the least.
That's the kindest thing you've said.
I'm not
only 8 years, right?
I don't think I should say it out loud. 561-623-9421. Give a call. We've got about 15 minutes left in this broadcast, so I'd love to have some interaction going on. It's not just chit chat with the text. I am old school talk show, and Candy was on my show 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when I was on cable radio on 400 markets. So Candy and I go way, way back. And we met in the rooms of the 12-step, and you find friends, and sometimes you're friends with somebody for a month. It's a weird ride because you meet a lot of people, and then you find people you trust.
Or you find your tribe.
You find your tribe that you trust, and you go through with the journey. We have some people we know that one girl's supposedly very sober, but I don't know if she's really sober. She's in and out, and she's like, yeah,
we don't get to question that.
We don't know what is going on, but you show up, and then she says she'll show up, and she doesn't show up, and you do what you want. There's no rules. Although if you're working with a sponsor, you're going to be given direction as to how to find your higher power, what steps to take to improve your own world, your own life, and how to stay sober between meals, between the time you wake up and the time you go to sleep. And one day turns to the next. And I myself, I drank a lot in college. I took a lot of diet pills, amphetamines. I smoked a lot of pot and hash. I loved getting loaded. Cigarettes, 2-3 packs a day. I was more of a sweet alcohol drinker, like the Kahluas and brandies. I wasn't real big on gin and tonics. It was boring for me. I wanted the sugar rush on top of everything. But after a while, like I got sober after getting drunk and loaded on just 2 glasses of wine. And I was spinning when I got home to my apartment. I thought, why is this? How do I want to do that? And it was 1985. I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't even feel good anymore. And then that was on a Thursday. And that Saturday, I was 12-step, meaning I met somebody in the program, took me to a meeting, and I got sober. And that was October 11th, 1985, whatever the sequence of events, the days were back then. It was like 2 days after having that last wine thing. And I just had enough. Some people have bottles everywhere. I was at Dr. Bob's house, one of the founders of AA in Akron, Ohio. It was a year and a half ago already. It's hard to believe it's that fast. But Candy suggested, since I was going to Cleveland to research my mom's background, I go down to Akron. And I've always heard about it because when you're in the rooms, you hear about the beginnings of the 12-step program with Dr. Bob and Dr. Who's the other one?
Phil.
Dr. Phil. Phil. Oh, God, my brain. See, dementia's setting in. But you learn the history. It started somewhere with 2 men trying to help each other. And it grew and grew and grew. After 70-something years, it's worldwide. Anybody can get help now with the internet. There's meetings online. There's phone calls. There's centers. You cannot be disconnected unless you choose to be disconnected. It's that available. And somebody's always available 24 hours a day. If you're really having a hard time, pick up the phone.
I remember I was 8 months sober. And I took a commitment at a lot of meetings. My favorite commitment was not coffee, because I didn't know how to make it in that huge thing. So yeah. I like to be the greeter, because then I thought everybody will know me, a little familiar. And so somebody said, because I'm up late, I was married to a musician, and so I would take calls from 8 o'clock until midnight at AA and also CA. And the CA people talk too much, by the way. That stands for Cocaine Anonymous. I couldn't get them off the phone. But I remember it's kind of where I learned to listen, because most people that call a hotline are either drunk or loaded, and they wanted to know what AA was about, and, and did I go to it, and where did I recommend it? And it was, I thought, but when I look back on that, that's when I started being interested in helping people,
because it taught you to listen to another person in a different way, rather than being in school or socializing or at a club where it's just chit chat. But in the program, we get to the intimate side of people's lives.
And I was I was 8 months sober. So I was not an expert, but I had one day at a time stayed sober to give them enough hope.
That if you had 8 months for somebody that had 1 day or 1 hour or even a phone call to say help.
Yeah. So, I kind of figured, somebody said, how did you get in this business? And I thought, oh God, I'm not, other than Lori dragging me to UCLA. Um, and then I really remembered that Yvonne had told me that if night was a hard time for me, because that's when I drank after the kids went to bed, to get a commitment at central office. I mean, that calls were forwarded to my house. I wasn't actually there. And I remember picking up the phone and having to go, how can I help you? And then they'd start in and I'd go, because at the end of it, they all sounded very similar. It was just different people with different distress.
And that's all we are. And we all find a higher power in them. You may have given them that, you may have helped maybe 1, 2, 12. You don't know who ended up getting sober. You don't know what happened to a lot of them.
I met a lot of women at meetings because I had one, but
you were the inspiration on the phone line where you may never have been able to. You might have said you might have just been the light somebody needed to get that turned on inside them. They got to a meeting. You may have saved their life. You don't know.
Well, here's the truth. I picked up the phone. We tell you you're not going to be alone. Dial this number and you can get help. And I picked up the phone. So that was the miracle. That was that I wasn't drunk and talking to my best friend in Kansas.
No, Toto. No. All right, we've got 5 minutes left in the show. I guess Victor decided not to call in out of shyness.
Well, let me tell you, whether you believe or not, do this experiment, because this is what was told to me, is that the beginning of every day, thank your higher power for having you wake up. Thank your higher power for being, whether you believe or not. You fake it till you make it. And thank them for helping you today to get through any difficult.
I'll be right back.
Get through any difficult times without drinking or using, or being abusive, or not being nice. Do an act of kindness every day to somebody that, whether it's telling somebody they look nice or you like their dress, or walk them across the street. Just let somebody crowd in front of you at the grocery store. Do an act of kindness, and don't tell anybody. And at the end of the day, when you thank your higher power for getting you through another day. And if you did drink or use, ask them that tomorrow would be better. And do this for 2 weeks. Every morning, thank him for getting you through the night and help you get through the day. And every night, thank him for getting you through the day, and encouraging for what tomorrow will be better. And that's what I did. And it became, because as a little girl, I used to get on my knees all the time. And, they tell you you're supposed to get on your knees and do this. But, I could be driving down the street. I could be taking a shower. I didn't care. Just that I remembered to do it. And I had a little stick-em on my mirror in the bathroom that said, are you grateful today? And I would always remember to go back and ask for help. So, and we'll see if it works, you guys that are on here, and then call us and let us know if you felt better.
Sometimes I'll say thank you for the parking place, because sometimes I'll be in a torrential rain like I was, and I ran out yesterday. I thought I got to get something to eat, and there was no place to park. I said, please, I don't want to be in this mess. And a spot opened up. It's like, oh, thank you. Acknowledge the little things. Acknowledge the fact that, the heating finally gets fixed after 4 months of complaining. Acknowledge that there's people, places, and things to help you. And whether or not you have your own sense of a higher power, which I think everybody does, test it. Step out of the way. Like Candy's saying, the gratitude grows. That's why they say in step 2, came to believe, because the more you practice what is suggested, it happens, and you start to see the miracles and the magic and the light.
And I also said, do an act of kindness to someone else and don't tell anybody.
What does that mean? How do you define that?
Well, if somebody's kind of struggling to cross the street, if you see somebody and you think that their outfit is really cute, if they've got one item and you have a basket full of groceries that go in front of you, if you see somebody struggling, I don't mean to be invasive, but you know, you can, when you get in tune to self, you get in tune to the universe. So you can see when somebody's struggling. I have on many occasions said to people, "Are you okay?" It wasn't that I could help them. It was I wanted them to know that I was concerned. I mean, there's a jillion different things you can do, but the hardest part for me was not telling anybody because I wanted to go, look what I did, you know.
Pat on the back.
Yeah.
Well, that's what pat on the back.
I always said that to Bridget. Pat yourself on the back.
And for those that don't know, Bridget is her daughter, who's a nurse in Oregon.
Yes, she is.
How's she doing?
It's been really snowy and rainy, and but she's doing all right. She had kind of a rough day the other day. She's a nurse, and she lost a couple of patients, and that's, you know, if you are in the room when you lose somebody, then you have to finish the process out, and it's hard on her. It's hard on anybody, whether you're not personally involved or not. She cares deeply, and that's why she does this. So, you know, and then your families, but she's really wonderful at it. I really wanted her to be a hospice nurse, but that would be a very difficult life, you know. And she chose that it would be too hard not to bring home. So, you know, she's in a post-op situation. So she's happy, and I'm grateful that she's got some good friends, and she's life on life's terms.
And our life on life's terms is we have 3.5 minutes left of today's broadcast. So if you have questions about what is a higher power, you might want to reach Candy Finnegan offline at candyfinnegan@aol.com, or you can call me or email me rather at drlinda@lindasalvin.com. All the information on how to contact us is going to be shown at the end of the show on the little outro that my friend Fred Missman created for us. Now we're down to 3 minutes. Thank you, Rebel. And we get the little countdown in the chat. 5, 4, 3. We've got 2 more minutes. 1 more minute. That's it. No. You know, we're here to help. And if you don't want to come on the air, that's fine. It's just something the last 3 weeks we finally got the phones working and operative, so I can take your calls. If you want to just continue to chat, I have to open up another screen eventually so I can see the chat versus the pop-ups. But 3 days a week I do the Psychic Solutions. This is Recovery Wednesday. Candy Finnegan's been in this business for 30 years. I've been doing my job for 30 years. So we have a few ideas on how it works if you're brand new to discovering sobriety or wanting to change your life, or if you're scared, that's very normal. If you're anxious about something, that's normal. But we're here to ease you through it and take your hand and say, hey, you can make it, because we did. I was 31 when I got here. I'm now 70. Oh, God. It goes fast.
I was 37.
Yeah, and it goes fast.
Don't even ask. This year I'll be 74.
It goes fast.
Yes.
It really does. I think it makes life go even faster because we're not losing so much time being inebriated or partying that you're actually involved in life. It's like, oh my God, what happened here? Life is in session. We did that last week. Life is in session. People become present in your life. There's no rehearsal. You don't get.
I love what Eleanor Roosevelt said. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow's a mystery, but today it's the present.
That's it. That's it. So we're going to start to wrap the show. If you want to contact us again, you can read the information at the end. And then next week, we'll have another wild topic for you, or give us a sense of what you may want to talk about that has to do with recovery. Is there some issue or some topic that you want to bring up more than just the family? We went over the holidays. We talked about, personalities at holidays. We haven't seen Misty. We haven't seen Country for a while. I don't know what happened to them, but they sort of like moved on or disappeared. Or Country, you out there? Say hi. We're here. You're there. And all it is more community. And I just call it the soul circle. So if you got something that you want to say to us privately, or if you want to join in next week, we're here for you. Okay. I'm Dr. Linda Salvin. That's Candy Finnegan. We'll see you next week.
Do
Bye,
something
everybody.
kind for somebody.
Yeah, and get out of yourself. Find that higher power. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed Recovery Wednesday. You can reach Dr. Linda at 888-509-1077 or at lindasalvin.com and Candy Finnegan at candyfinnegan@aol.com. Need a breakthrough of your own? Ready for answers or insights nobody else has? Reserve your own one-on-one in-person chat. Dr. Linda isn't just for other people. Dr. Linda gets results for you. And it's easy. Contact details are on screen now. Just click on lindasalvin.com or call toll-free 888-509-1077. That's lindasalvin.com or toll-free at 888-509-1077.